Hey everyone, welcome back to the Beyond the Bar podcast. I'm your host, Denisa Tova. Today, I am absolutely delighted to engage in a hearty chat with a seasoned and highly revered family law attorney, Martin Johnson, known as Marty. And, with his glowing career spanning over, I think, almost 4 decades, Marty has not only earned many, many prestigious accolades, also trust of his clients. So let's dive deeper and find out more about the man behind the legendary status and also how he balances the scales of justice and the joys of his family. Welcome, Marty.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, you have had a long and successful career earning tremendous respect in the legal field. What, you know, what keeps your passion ignited?
I think the ability to enjoy what I'm doing, to enjoy the practice, um, keeps me going. To listen to listen to the stories of people who are coming in, and when you think you've heard it all, you haven't. Okay, and I think just being able to help people out, to try to get them out of these emotional challenges, um, has really enabled me to continue to do this and enjoy it while I'm doing it. Listen, it's every day isn't easy. Believe me, uh, this is no easy practice. But to receive to receive cards, thank you notes from clients, and to get Christmas cards. I mean, sometimes, like, do you really want to, hear from people time and again? But to get cards and to get thank you notes thanking me for, you know, the work I've done on their case and what have you, it really does uh, provide you a lot of satisfaction.
Thank you cards. And that is almost unusual because you are helping them through a very difficult transition. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, there is sort of this public perception about divorce attorneys, family law
sure.
attorneys, that is not particularly flattering just because people don't like to deal with that dark stuff. So to get that, that is something. What are you? What are they thanking you for?
I think for the most part, when I get these notes, it's to thank me for sort of a calming and reassuring perspective, on their matter. And so that is what I try to bring to the practice. I try to bring to these clients, to tell them that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes it takes quite a while to get there, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and to assure them that I'm giving them 150%. Um, I just received one the other day, and the client had said, if I was raising chickens, I'd bring you in a dozen eggs. And she said, but instead of that, it's my thank you note. And you know what? It's so appreciated. It really is. I love it when I see it.
Wow, that is really great to hear. You're obviously dealing with emotional clients and some being more than others, and oftentimes it's a contentious situation. How do you steer a client toward a more practical approach?
You know, every case is different, and when you when you speak to a client, and they tell you, they kind of go down that wish list, and when you hear some of these uh, wishes and thoughts about the end game, and what they're looking at, it's trying to reason and talk to them about the practicalities of some of the things that they want to accomplish. Um, and even in the best of all worlds, some of the things that people want are just not going to happen. And so it's being able to talk them through it, to rationally talk them through it and say, honestly, you're not going to get $100 million because there's only 75 million out there. So let's be practical. Let's talk. And having those conversations, it really does. Uh, it lowers the expectations, and that's what you want to have happen.
So, and it's almost you are sort of projecting. You sound very practical, calm, and grounded, whereas there are other professionals who may take on more of the emotion.
Yeah.
So I think coming from somebody like you, it really sounds authentic, and I can see how that would help them move in more of a reasonable direction.
The one thing I do early on is really tell people that I cannot take on their life story. I can't do that.
Mm.
And if that doesn't work for them, then maybe I'm just not the person for them. And I cannot take on those emotions. Doesn't mean that I'm not giving them 150% on trial and in representing them, which I give them. But I can't take their emotions and their craziness on my shoulder and run with it like it's, I just can't do that. And I don't do it.
You've had a successful business partnership. And it's almost like those are not easy. It's almost like being in a marriage. It takes work. How have you made it work over the years, and what have you learned from that partnership?
Well, you know, I have a successful business partner, Mitch, and it is somewhat analogous to having a successful uh, personal partner, my wife Jeanette. I mean, it's you're dealing with the emotions, and you're dealing with the discussions about should we do, should we not do, what have you. You have these discussions every day. I mean, you have to be able to trust, and you have to be able to give, and you have to be able to say, not a big deal. We'll do what we got to do, and make it work. And I've had my professional relationship with my partner for a lot of years, and we've made it work because we are comfortable with each other. We trust each other, and that's the key. We have a very, very different um, style, and which is great. Uh, and I think that adds to the working relationship that we have. And we laugh at each other. We confide with each other, and that's what makes it work. And no different than my personal life with my wife. We laugh with each other. We cry with each other. We confide in each other. It's what you have to do. You have to make it work.
Speaking of a personal life, talking about resetting, you shared with me that you recently took an unforgettable trip to Sweden with your four kids. Tell me about those precious moments, and what did you notice?
You know, it was a trip that just sort of materialized after Christmas last year, and just over a funny Christmas gift that my wife and I had given to all the kids, and it just evolved into this trip to Stockholm, and I said, I'll take my kids and their spouses. We'll leave the grandchildren home and let them fend for themselves, and go to the other grandparents. And my wife and I and my kids and spouses went for a week to Stockholm. And I have to tell you, we do a fair amount of traveling. It had to be the most rewarding trip that I have taken in a long, long time. Just to be with these kids. First of all, I couldn't believe they wanted to travel with us. Okay, so that was the fun part. and to be with them, to have lunch with them, to have dinner with them, to tour with them, to take a sailboat out of the archipelago with them, just us, and it was rewarding. It was just kind of brought you to tears a couple of times just to watch them interact with each other because they are all so busy with their own personal lives and their kids that they had a ball together and we had a ball with them. I think they tried to ditch us a couple of times, uh, but that was okay. It was the best. It was absolutely the best.
I like what you said about pulling them away from their busy lives and just really everyone being in the moment.
Yeah.
Um, that's really quite something. How would your kids describe you, Marty?
I think they might describe me as a doting dad, a beyond a doting grandfather, a a a good spouse to my wife, uh, and a hard worker. I think that's what
Mm.
they would. I think that's how they would describe me. Uh, Growing up, I was I don't want to say a taskmaster, but I pushed them, and I think because of that, they have the four of them, the four kids are all in very successful careers, and uh, I think they would say that I was there for them uh, whenever 24/7, and
Mm.
that more than anything is hopefully my legacy with them.
The gift of time.
Yeah,
That's
I made it.
that is so
Made
precious.
it home. I made it a priority
Mm.
in my with this career. I made it a priority to get home every night for dinner. Now, were there nights that I was here because I had cases going on or something, trials getting ready for and what have you? But the priority was to get home, to sit down for dinner, and to listen to their conversations. And to me and to my wife, that was the most important part of the day, to have them together around that dinner table every night. Um, and it doesn't happen anymore. I know it doesn't happen anymore. I see with my own kids, their lives are, they're all over the place. They're traveling. Um, but if nothing more, I made that happen on a regular basis.
And that's something you cannot replace. It's the experience that stays with you. You know, being heard, having
Yeah.
that time together. Back then, I don't know if they all had a smartphones, but I know I try to
There
make
were
it a
no,
rule in my
believe me,
household.
there was no smartphones and there was no television going on. So,
Good, good. Love that. Love that. Well, speaking of television and all that stuff, reading seems to be a treasured hobby of yours. Um,
love to
and
read.
I recall that you actually read paper, an actual paper.
I actually read a paper book. Yeah, I love to read. Uh, I've tried the Kindle. It can't work. It just doesn't work. I need to hold something in my
Yeah.
hands, and so I love reading. Um, and if not every night, maybe every other night, I'm picking up that book and reading, and I enjoy it just tremendously. And it
What are
doesn't
you
have to
reading
be
now?
any kind of you know just whatever suits my fancy at a given time is what I pick up, um, and there are some books that I've actually read a couple of times because I've enjoyed them so much.
Mm.
So yeah,
You know, with many incoming attorneys trying to figure out, where and how to get information, how much technology to use, should they show up, in person to networking events, and finding their place in the world that now talks about AI. And what, as a seasoned vet, in this field, what wisdom would you impart on them, um, to build a successful, but not successful career just professionally, but not to basically burn out quickly?
You have to be there. I'm COVID hit, and everybody scrambled. The masks came on, things got closed, the virtual
Mm.
court conferences, the Zooms, and what have you. People, the virtual office. I think I was back in the office 2 months after all of this hit because I couldn't stand the thought of Zooming, team conferences, what have you.
Yeah.
Did I have clients from time to time do Zooms and Teams? Yes, but I found a way. You did with the plastic shields and what have you, to bring people in just because I just wanted to see them person to person. Um, and I had our employees pretty much come in pretty quickly too, just because I thought it was so important to be there. I think being there makes a difference. Um, so, you know, what I would say to others, getting into this career, you got to be there. You got to be true to yourself. Your reputation is worth more than any client's retainer, and
Mm.
you just don't compromise your moral code, but you just have to be active. You have to want. You have to have a. It has to be in your gut to want to do this. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's probably the advice I'd give to them.
That's a great advice. It has to be in your gut. You're right. This is not a job.
No,
Yeah, this is
it
this is you
any
really are.
yeah
Yes,
yeah
you're
it's
impacting
any.
people's lives. Yes.
If you want a job, you know what? There's plenty of jobs out there. If you want to practice law, you have to be there. You got to feel it that this is what you really want to do. And if you want to practice in the matrimonial field, you really have to have it in your gut.
Yeah, I can see that. Absolutely. Wow, Marty, we could go on and on and on here. I definitely will have you back. this is this is really profound. There's so many layers to what you do. And so this has been really informative, and I want to thank you for sharing this enriching journey and your life philosophies with us today. And so thank you. It's been terrific having you.
Thank you, Denisa. It's been nice being on here with you.
And to our listeners and viewers, thank you. And you can learn more about Marty and how to contact him by clicking on his bio link below. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Beyond the Bar Podcast, and follow us on our social media channels so you do not miss any episodes. And until next time, stay curious and inspired.